Welcome to Marketing with Confidence. I'm your host, Marianne Amies. We're going to be talking all things digital and online marketing for business owners and marketing professionals. If you've been feeling overwhelmed by your digital marketing, be sure to listen along and you'll hear tips, interviews and more that will give you the confidence to create marketing you love. Welcome back to another episode of Marketing with Confidence. I'm so excited today to be joined by Charmaine Keegan. Charmaine's a trainer, a keynote speaker, director and founder of Smarter Selling. Thanks for joining me, Charmaine.
Oh, Marianne, it's been a long time. I've been waiting for this. Thanks for having me on board.
My pleasure. Look, to start off, if you can introduce yourself and tell us how you became so passionate about inspiring exceptional sales skills in others.
Yes, look, I was just... I grew up on a farm actually in England, and then at the age of 11 happened to go to our local farm shop to buy something, and the guy went, "What do you do on Sundays?" And I said, "I'm not sure." He goes, "We start work here tomorrow." So I started to work in this farm shop selling, frankly, it was eggs and potatoes and cabbages that I used to dig up. But the lady there was really exceptional at customer service. In fact, she over-serviced, which caused a problem, but I noticed how she engaged with people. And her intent, it was real. It wasn't because of money. She just genuinely cared about people, and that came across. So I learned quite quickly to adapt, and that's our whole philosophy, observe and adapt. And so I'd think, oh, Frank's coming in. I'd put the classical music on. I'd clean a bit. And I'd go, oh, Frank, by the way, your wife was in the week and she wanted these 3 things. We didn't have them then, but we have them now. Or they're coming in later. I'll drop them off on my bike as I go past. And I just recognized it doesn't take a lot to care. That comes within. And also it really goes a long way with people. Caring. So that's what I did. Then I wanted to have other sales jobs. And I worked in media and I worked in other places. I started a magazine when I was 19 with somebody, and then got into the world of advertising for 10 years, and then became a manager early on, but I shouldn't have been. I had no management skills. It was the old thing of like salesperson, manager. And it's because I was very, I don't know, I think I was hardworking. It was that grit of being on the farm. And also, I just thought I was out of my league the whole time. I just thought, long hair, they're all professional salespeople. I've got to work twice as hard, twice as long. Yeah. But I recognized that I understood how to observe and read people. And the big thing, Marianne, where most people in that era, 80s, 90s, was very to the gab, so nice to the Eskimos, show up and throw up, spray and pray. That's what we used to call it. And they'd be persuading the client to buy. My philosophy was never that. It was always just listen, understand, have an intent to help, ask more questions. And no one taught me that. I just realized if I shut up in a meeting, I'm going to see, I can understand them better, and I can understand where they're coming from. And Marianne, most people don't actually know what they want. And so you recognise that if you just react to what they ask you, it may not be the best outcome for them. A little better. Then I went to work for the Daily Telegraph, which is the biggest selling newspaper in the UK, biggest selling quality newspaper. Then I came over here. My budget was 4 million when I landed here. And they actually, what happened? This happens in media a lot. This happens in these sort of dodgy companies. They sort of screwed the new girl. Like everyone else's budget was 1 million. And I recognised quite soon that the manager was trying to move the money around, and he said, no contacts, you don't know anybody. So you're not going to make 1 million. You're not going to make it. So we'll just give you 4 million, then people can have some money. And I took I know it, like now you think you couldn't get away with that, but you just say yes to a job, particularly if you're on a 4-7 visa. And I took just under 12 million that year. Wow. And, all I did was, it's not brain surgery, most of it. there is a science to selling, but if you have more appointments than anybody else, and you have listen more than you talk, and you don't get reactive over what somebody says, people say I've got a $100,000 budget, and I'd think, oh, that's what you think you need. You don't know if that's what you need. And I frequently would go back with a 300 or 400 grand response and have a compelling reason why they might want to look into that. And I just worked harder than anybody else. I'd ring up the agencies, Saatchi and Saatchi, wherever, to get artwork, and they'd go, well, we can't give that out. And then 20 minutes later, I'd just ring again. I just kept ringing until I got somebody who gave me the artwork. If people just I had the resilience, right? Yeah. Growing up on a farm, you have resilience. You're poor, you're on a farm, you get resilience pretty quickly. Yeah. And so in those companies, I taught other people. And when I was about 16, I remember thinking, I'd love to be a sales trainer. Wow. My number one job. My second job was to be a sports coach, and my third job was to be a highly paid actress, or some more like that. and then I did different things. Then I left and had a baby, and somebody had come to me and said, "Oh, can you teach my team?" Oh, this is a question that comes up with the SMEs that you might have as well, right, Marianne? That they say, "Are we down? Are we converting less because of the market?
Yeah.
Or is it because of the team?"
Yeah.
And, so and often as a small owner operator that might have yourself, 6 people, 8 people, whatever size you are, you've got to be so many hats to everybody. And if you want best practice, you've got to know how to sell. And usually they're because have known how to sell, but they might have known how to sell from 20 years ago or 10 years ago or 5 years ago. It might be called in, people say, well, I don't know if it's them or the market or what they're saying or what we're selling. And so I started to teach leaders and their teams on how to really empower their staff and really help them and their staff know how to engage more meaningfully and with integrity and authenticity. So that's how it started. And then one day my husband I said to him, I think we're going back to work. And he said, I'd just like to point out you are working because I do it. Business owners, 60-hour a week. And then I changed the name and I called it something that sounded not Charmaine Keegan Consulting. And then I met you, that was like 11 years ago. And then you did my marketing, and that's and here we are, success story, dancing together.
The rest is history.
It's history. That's a long way of saying the story, but that's the story.
Yeah. And I mean, I know since then you've trained, over 8,000 people. You're now a keynote speaker for Salesforce. So you're, what's that like? What do you get to do through that?
Well, good question. I think the most important thing is to go back a step. Why am I asked to be a keynote speaker? Yeah. I'll tell you why I'm asked, because I really make whichever organisation hire me, I make them look really good.
Yeah.
So I do so much research on who's in the room, be it 2,000 or be it 50 people or whatever, so that they end up looking really good. I really think about the people's problems in the room and the pain points and what they're experiencing. And so I do a lot of that. I mean, not a lot all the time. Sometimes there's gaps between, but often it could be a couple in a month.
Yeah.
And things like that. And it's because I'm also about a modern way of selling, Marianne, because like now sales, you should be proud to be a salesperson, all these little words like success, where success client service is this, or all these other success manager and all these other things we're hiding under. Like you should be proud to say I'm in sales, I'm helping people and do so with integrity and authenticity, where you're partnering and collaborating and not selling at and persuading. And so because of that philosophy, because I'm always at the cutting edge of stuff that's going on, I'm the cutting edge of learning all the time. I study constantly, like 2 hours a day. I'm obsessed. I think that's why I got picked up for my sales. In 2022 and 2023, me and a great guy called Cian, and he's way above me, we were on their TV stuff and their materials and their downloadables, and we do all their
amazing.
TV. Yeah, it's great. I feel so humbled to be asked, but it's fun and it's a great organisation, wonderful CRM, and a lot of clients probably you might use that as well to help their salespeople be empowered and confident and organised and handle their leads.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Salesforce is an amazing piece of technology, what it can do for a business and how it can help to add that structure, which I think is, obviously myself being a marketer, as you said before, we bring all these leads in and then, salespeople need to convert it, but it's often in the follow-up, and it's in the, exactly what you said, the tenacity and the resilience, and having a system that can help keep you on track with that, I think, beats the paper diary any day of the week.
Yeah. And I mean, you've just nailed something there. I remember one of my first calls about 10 years ago, and marketing agency called me out to say, we've been working on small to medium, just what you do, the same.
Yeah.
And we've converted their leads from whatever they were getting, I don't know, say 10 leads a week and converting 3 to now 50 leads a week after 3-month plan and all the stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And they did the same thing. And that client was now getting 50 leads, but still converting 3.
Yeah.
And it's because, you can't just do one without the other. You need an empowered team that's really sold on what they're selling, that really know that sales is a science.
Yeah.
And daily there's things managers can do to really make sure they're empowered and engaging properly in forming relationships. Because frankly, the way that you're doing websites for people, Marianne, they can come to somebody's website, they can get so much information now. Clients are coming in so much better informed and educated that the touch point with that receptionist or whoever it might be, inside salesperson, rep directly, owner, is so far up the track.
Yeah.
It's not where the old salesperson was the, gift of the gab and sort of like charismatic. Well, they've searched you out. And they've come to you, they've got a need and they've got a pain, and you've now, through people like you, have made the website enticing to get the lead in. Well, you've got to be a salesperson now that can read, listen, adapt, ask better questions, be curious, turn it around, make sure they're sold before you pass them on to somebody else, transfer that rapport, book the appointment in, first in, best dress. There's a whole science to that.
Yeah.
It's why it's wonderful to work with you, actually, because it goes together so well, because you need one and the other. It's like, what is it? Strawberries and cream.
Strawberries and cream is good one.
The strawberries on the cream.
I mean, I came to one of your 2 days sale accelerator workshops, must be a decade ago. And I can honestly say I still remember, reflect, and can visualize many of the concepts you delivered. And, I think the first piece of gold that I got from you is around the questions and asking, I'd never really thought of sales in terms of that, ask questions, ask more questions. And, I can still see you drawing on the board the kind of the hidden answers, when you keep asking and then you get to the deeper level and the deeper level. And when I have new team members start, and if anyone then goes on to kind of be involved with client leads, and they say, what do you normally talk about? And I say, I don't. I just ask questions. I just ask lots of questions and keep asking questions. And I think, that was such a huge mind shift for me then, but it still stayed with me now that, my job's not to get on a call and push my agenda. My job is to listen and listen and listen and listen, and then find the solutions that match what they need.
And your clientele, it's the same. People can think their job, particularly when you hire people and you're busy as a small business owner. You think, well, you know what you do. People tend to think salespeople know what they're doing. That as in, like, it's an 8. It's not a skill. It's an 8, right? Either you are or you're not.
Yeah.
And then that salesperson, if they haven't any training the last 5 years or 10 years, sales has changed so rapidly. Most people often, they just go, we're too busy to have sales trainers, they're just getting on with it.
Yeah.
And that might mean the salesperson thinks their job is to pitch and is to persuade and is to explain, rather than that whole thing of, actually, when a client comes to you, they may have come because they have a need that you've got, but that there could be 16 hidden needs. And the motivators could be different, or they may have tried other things out that don't work. And what's their personality style? What's their motivators? What's their drivers? What's their needs, likes, wants, desires? Why have they come to you? What's their urgency? Who else is involved? There's thousands of questions you could ask. But I think when you have a team, before they ask the questions, you need to work on mindset. And that is to make sure your team go in every day, seeing themselves as a partner to the client.
Yeah.
And not somebody selling at the client. And that starts with your leaders that are listening, like to make sure that even in the office you talk about partnering and collaborating and long relationships, and don't go sell at. What's your language that you're using, But I'm glad you remember that, because you know what, Marion, I'm obsessed with how people learn.
Yeah.
And a lot of time working out. I've evolved. I've got that workbook right here, actually. I've evolved. Mark's just picked it up. Our photograph we did for Instagram just there, but anyway, here's one of them. But I am we're on workbook number 27.
Wow, you've evolved it that many times.
Evolved, although the main philosophies, but actually look at us now. We're Zoom in. Yeah, we teach more reps to Zoom than anything else, because phone calls better than email. Like, you keep going up, right? Email, phone call, then you've got Zoom, then you've got a meeting. So how you get people onto Zoom, the tips like that to form a different relationship.
Wow. Yeah.
So, I think that's why people think that sales is selling at, or they might have that stereotype from years ago, which
exactly.
Selling at.
Yeah, no, 100%. Which is that, kind of leads into another great question, is that, we often, I think, we feel that salespeople are extroverted, and that they have to be big and larger than life and loud and, take you out to the pub for beers and, do you think that's evolved, that people need to be these big extroverted characters to succeed?
Not anymore. We probably have some weeks a workshop every single day. And I would say, Marianne, that I sometimes have groups. It could be 50-50. That's the general population, to be honest. It could be less, it could be more. But there's a lot of technicians coming through, a lot of people so what's happening, and it could be because of tech, right? It's tech that's made this happen, is your technical guys, your technical engineers. They are now selling.
Yeah.
So go on somebody's site to, I don't know, build something or look at some IT stuff or whatever the technical thing is they're doing, or engineers. They're now been slapped with you're selling. And they fall into two categories. One, they're like, no, I'm not. I didn't go to all that university to be a salesperson. I'm an engineer, or I'm this. And they're mortified. And there's lots of those. Or they're like, yeah, that makes total sense. I'm there anyway. I mean, they're actually extremely good. Introverts, you see, are so good at being inquisitive. If you've done extended for any of those, they naturally want the spotlight on somebody else, right? So just think about that for a moment. So if you're collaborating and partnering, you've got to have the spotlight on the other person. So technicians, they're naturally investigative. They naturally diagnose before they prescribe. They then need more assistance with things like landing a compelling message, and being influential, and being proactive and get on the phone to more people and making more appointments, because it takes energy for people to make appointments that are introverts. That takes energy to do 2 meetings. It doesn't take me energy to do 2 meetings. It takes some people a lot of energy to do that. So they can do it, but then they'll be tired, energized by it. So if you've got introverts, in fact, I have we have 4 other trainers, one of them called Mike Carr. He's a master trainer of loads of things. He's run 8 different businesses, GM of loads of things, but one of them's Extended Disc, and he's in New Zealand. Yesterday we had an interview with him. I have it every month or so. People in our academy, our online academy, you did for us, thank you very much. They have access to all of those interviews, and it's live. And he talked about motivating introverts and extroverts. And so a tip from that, because we talk to them frequently, and we have a whole day of Extended Disc.
There's
only 2 master trainers of Extended Disc.
Oh, wow.
So he's pretty up there.
Yeah.
And he's the most adorable guy. He's like 76. He's got more energy than me, which is, you know me.
Yeah, you got a lot of energy.
Right? And he's so kind and caring.
Oh, wow.
He said, if you've got a team with introverts, there's certain things, and we teach this on our Extended Disc courses. There's Extended Disc for leaders and Extended Disc for teams. As a leader, the introvert won't speak up in a meeting. The extrovert will have, it's not the only thing he talked about, it's the only thing we teach about 8 hours, but the extrovert will have the air time. And it doesn't like, generally, so on the DISC scale, which is DISC, people don't like to be unaware of what's going on. They need an agenda. They need to know what the meeting's going to be about, even a formal meeting, and they need to ideally know the question's going to be asked. So if you ask a question to me now, I'll just go, oh yeah, whatever, and I'd say it, and I wouldn't really hold much attention to it.
Yeah.
An introvert would wait to give you an answer because they want it to be right.
Yeah.
So what can happen in meetings is they don't speak up as much.
Yeah.
And then they think of something hours later, but you've moved on. If you're a high D, you've moved on to the next 30 things put out. And so, or even 4 days later, they might come to you. So there's different ways of motivating them and praising them. Introverts don't like to be praised publicly.
Yeah, makes them uncomfortable.
Extrovert, it's like, doesn't mind the odd being stroked, like the dog. So there's lots of different ways to motivate. We also have situational leadership that we train, a lot of other things we train for leaders actually, but it's important because otherwise what happens as a leader, and a lot of your clients would know this, is you lead everyone as though they're you.
Yeah.
And you know at some level they're not you, but because you go, people are motivated by money, you just keep paying them more. Or if you think, they're motivated by this, you just keep doing that. There's like 100 ways to motivate your team.
Yeah.
And the team is the same as the client. Have you asked questions? Have you understood? Are you adapting to them?
Yeah.
I think there are more introverts.
Yeah.
They are brilliant at selling because they are really clever at listening and not listen to talk. They're listen to understand. And their development area is to be confident being in front of more people and be confident in landing a compelling message with clarity and having the selling skills and the science to continue that conversation and to basically sell. Whereas an extrovert naturally got the phone like a dog with a bone to make 100 appointments, barely makes any notes for any of them.
Yeah.
wrap up 30 other things that's going on. But at the first 2 days, you think you've reached heaven because you've got this rep in that's like onto every lead before the phone's even rung. And then a week later, you look at all these, you know, your CRM and notice that nothing's been completed. Or that's what you have. And you've got them in front of people, but they may do too much talking and not enough listening. And so their development here is often organisation and prioritisation. And then, you know, it sounds as 99% listening.
Yeah.
You know, and just your talking's asking questions and then at the end give you a compelling reason. The rest of it's actually listening and understanding.
Yeah.
So the differences that we're seeing coming through.
Yeah, beautiful. It sort of makes me reflect on when you're even teaching somebody something and they don't write notes. You know, the person that doesn't write, no greater anxiety than the person that doesn't write notes. You just think this is, you know, and those people that engage you in the conversation, they're not writing anything down, and you just think this is not going to stick. None of this is going with you. So
I had a client just then who never writes notes, and she's got a photographic memory.
Oh, wow.
Notes. And I've actually had a teacher in a meeting with a client, you might have to write some notes so the client can see that you're writing things down, or you have to go, you know what, I'm remembering this. I just need you to know it's freaky. Because some people will read it like you, which is, well, to show that I'm listening and to make sure I am listening, I have to write notes. Therefore, if you're not writing notes, we just assume they're not taken in. But also remember, when you write notes, you're not actually listening and writing.
True.
But I have to write notes because if not, I'm also holding in a holding pattern in my brain and I'm still not listening.
Yeah,
so
true.
The lesser evil is just to make a note, right? And then you've got to clarify and collaborate with the client to make sure your notes are correct and it's what they want going forward. But
yeah, no, that's true as well. I guess so, you know, thinking about that extrovert-introvert relationship, what about, I guess, you know, you talk about selling with integrity. What does that look like? Is that more important now than it used to be? You know, does it feel different for people? You know, are people more clued on to when someone's coming from a genuine place? And how do people sell with integrity?
Good question. I think sales of old have been burnt. I think younger people that are buying naturally look at things like Google reviews and do a lot of homework before, you know, people like you that do websites and things, they're looking at these websites of clients before they even engage. They're used to live chat. They're used to electronic answers, frequently asked questions before they engage. And they have come through probably with a more sophisticated approach with how people are selling, whereas maybe people on the other side of 40 have still got maybe a little bit of a residue stereotype of certain salespeople, or they've been around longer to be burnt by somebody. And so they might come in with more caution and they might become the opposite. You know, we call it matching and mismatching, which means I'll be nothing like that salesperson and I'm totally honest. And they're honest too soon. And what I mean by honest too soon is when a client says, can you do A? And you say no, it may not be A that they actually needed.
Yeah.
Handling things like that. Like that needs some commercial smarts around you. But to answer your question, yes, I do think you need to have integrity, but I don't think you can teach that to your team. I think your team is so excited about what they're selling and so sold on what they're selling, inside out, upside down. You can give them success stories every day. Say, this client came to us 2 years ago. This is what we saw them at a conference. Then they sent this thing on LinkedIn, and then we sent this email. Then we invited them to this, and these are all the touch points. And then they needed this, and we did this, and then we went to this. And you've got this opportunity every day, every single day, to impart a success story to your team, not just go, oh, we got so-and-so in and clap at all the money that's coming. That's the old school. That's the old school ring a bell.
Yeah. Oh, God, yes. Yeah.
Is the client had this pain and our product, solution or service solved that pain. And this is what it now means to that client. They don't have to write a case study. Do they ever write a case study, Marianne? Never. But they don't have to have done all that. You can just verbalize it and share it. And your team will build up the confidence to go, we're only charging 20 cents. We're only charging $8,000. We're only charging half whatever you're selling. We should be charging more than that. And they suddenly see the value of what they're selling. Their mindset raises. They now feel confident and certainty. They're going into that conversation already on the front foot, excited about being the trusted advisor, the authority in their field, the subject matter expert. They're not the underdog. Thanks for seeing me. Thanks for the meeting. All this sort of underdog. I'm taking up your time. Like that's old school. That's gone. That went years ago. It's a sophisticated, intelligent approach where you're partnering and aligning and collaborating. I've had 2 calls this morning. I've shared my Word document. It's full of mistakes. But we are together collaborating on their issues, and then I'm guiding them. And there's a bit in that conversation where they go, this person knows what they're talking about, and the whole energy changes. And all your listeners will know that when they're engaging with somebody, at some point they ask a question and their customer will go, oh, that's a good point. Can you help with that? Now you're no longer the equal. Now you're the trusted advisor. That's when you can overcome objections, you can educate, you can guide. So I think all those words, the authority in your field, the subject matter expert, the trusted advisor, is all from integrity. But I think to get integrity, you need to recruit correctly in the first place. Yeah. And then you need to constantly remind your team of the value of your offering, so that your team's mindset, by the way, that means you make profit immediately because your team don't discount as often. So because the value in their head is, they're given something, but they think, oh, $5, that should be $8. And they immediately think it's more, which means when they go to market, they go with, their energy is different and they know the value and worth. They're not, also if reps are persuaded, it means they're almost trying to talk themselves into as well. Yeah, so I think you're right. I think integrity, I think you cannot live without it anymore. And we just mentioned Google reviews. Can you imagine? Nowadays, you can't have poor customer service. And by the way, most customer service is dreadful. And most reps do not know how to sell well. I put 11 emails in today. Let me give you a great tip for the first email that came in. They sent me something. I replied to say, I'm not interested yet, but if you can put a little video together, so when I'm around, I can do it. They came back with a persuasive, with a bit of a hard on, no, I'd rather talk to you. And I went, well, forget it. I'm a business owner. I might look at it at 11 o'clock tonight. Do you want to talk to me then? Do you want to Zoom me at 11 o'clock tonight? Like, I don't want to do it in my own time. They did a little video. I haven't a chance to watch the video yet, right? So I will do though, because they've done it and I'm quite impressed by that. So I would it, putting out 16 other spot fires. And then they emailed today and said, have you had a chance to look at my video? But they didn't forward the video, Marianne. Just little things like that. Like, I don't think as salespeople, generally people think about making it easy for the client to buy them. I think we put our own roadblocks in and make it hard for the customer to buy. Yeah. We put these roadblocks in where rather than go, yes, of course, yes, here it is below when you have an opportunity. And add value in your email. I've noticed on your website you've done this. I've noticed on LinkedIn you've done this. I thought if you're in the market for this, I think we can help you. Like, if you're going to do 200 emails a day, that's a different strategy, right? Yeah. If you're going to do 7, then clients, go to town. Make it about them. Make it completely relevant. Keep it short, to the point. Make it relevant. I think, there's a lot of areas that you could change like that. I think people could have 10% better profit if they just understood the art of customer service. Yeah. Most people don't. Let me tell you a great story, right? I put it on a blog a year ago. So my son was 10. This is a couple of years ago. Actually, wanted to buy a Kubra hat. That's the name of it, isn't it? Yeah. Strand Hatters, give them a plug, Strand Hatters. So I emailed 2 or 3 places. And by the way, Strand Hatters came back immediately with, yes, we can help. The other 2 didn't come back at all. So there we are, number 1. Fail. Brilliant job getting the lead in, but somebody's not picking it up, right? And he answered, and I asked another question, and he came back with yes, here's a link. And like all to the point, right? One-liners, easy, what I wanted to have from Hamish. And I happened to go, thanks, Hamish. We might be on Friday. If we do, we come between 11 and 12. It's my son's 10th birthday, wants a day off school. And we went in on that was the Monday. On the Friday, between 11 and 12, we walked into the Strand Hatters in the arcade. I'd never been before. And this guy, quite attractive as it happens, walked in. They're serving people, and he's finished. He turns around and he goes, Charmaine, Annie. And he literally said his birthday. And we were like, my chin was on the ground. And I thought to myself, do you know what, though? That didn't take a lot of effort, really. No. He's not doing 70 a day, but it wowed us so much, which shows how poor customer service is. Yeah. Even in hotels or even the venues we have. I often go to a venue, I say these 6 people are arriving early together, or they come in to stay in this hotel the night before, and I give them the names, and I go, when they come in and they'll look like this, can you just go, oh, hello, da-da-da-da-da-da. Yes, Charmaine's expecting you on level 1, da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. It's not hard. It's not hard to be good. It's not hard to be better than the normal standard. So it doesn't take a lot, is what I'm trying to get to.
I know. Our expectation bar is set so low, but then still the massive volume that fail. It's quite funny. I've been doing a lot of recruiting this year. And I introduced these 15-minute speed interviews. So 15 minutes on Zoom, like I'm going to ask you 3 questions and we're going to look at each other. And, that will determine whether you make it to a face-to-face interview, because I had to cut down, sort of losing 45 minutes with someone that is wrong in 5 minutes. And even that, I guess that personal sales ability that some people have, comes back to a lot of things you just said. People that would say to me, I loved on your website that XYZ. I saw on your social media that you guys, you're all women and you're having so much fun. Or I've listened to your podcast episodes and I really love how you talk about this, and that memorability of those candidates. But then others where I said, when we jump off, can you just email me your references or email me your resume? 3 days later, sending me that email. And you just think, that hunger, that but they're the most basic things of you want to get from A to B, whether that's the sale, whether that's your, career progression, whether that's, getting help in the need you have. There's such easy wins that people just completely miss.
And if they can't do that in the interview.
Oh, I know.
That's demonstrative that and I'm going to top tip here, Marianne, come to our one-day leadership course. One of the things I teach is, we go through hundreds of things, to be honest, and there's loads of downloadable books and we have so much on there. But one of the things is for interviews now as a company, and we teach other companies this, not the one way of doing this, but, it's upload a video. And so we only have videos uploaded, and then I will go through those videos and then I'll decide who goes on to the Zoom bit next. So that means I can look at it in my time, and it's a 2-minute video max.
Oh, I love it.
And you have to, you know what it means? They have to go to an effort. So that weans out people that don't really want to do it.
Yeah.
So maybe 200 that might email you, only 12 will bother. And it means you already see how they present themselves. You're not looking for quality of camera angle. You're looking because this person's going to be on Zoom. This person's going to be face to face with people, because that's why we're doing it. And then you can just see what they're saying, how they say it, how much effort they go to. And even those that go to a lot of effort, they're not just because you've gone to a lot of effort doesn't mean you're going to be any good. So it's really the ones I'm looking at that are genuine and go, you know what, and also that say, I'm not really good at this, actually, I'm not really good at that, I'm hoping you'll teach me that. And what comes through, we've got to share a carpet with these people for 40 hours a week. So, are they honest and upfront? Are they high emotional intelligence? Can they see their problems? Can they say, I'm developing? Or do they think they know it already? Because if you've come in thinking you know it already, particularly to us, a sales training organisation that's teaching people to evolve and develop, even Tiger Woods gets probably 10 hours of coaching a day. You've got to come in being open to development, right?
Yeah.
I think people don't make it easy. It's not hard to do things really, really good. Where was I the other day that I thought that was great customer service? I always post about it.
I was going to say you always share. I love your social media shares of the taxi driver that you've had the conversation with, or the man at the supermarket, and I love those. I love those success stories.
The Uber driver then took me to his favourite. I took him to his favourite curry place, and then he took me to his favourite sweet place in Adelaide, and then went back to his family home. It's like travelling again. But if it's good customer service, it doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take a lot to be really good. And you know what? For people that are listening, your clientele that are listening in, and people that are in your orbit, your community, to remind everyone on the team that they're all influencing a customer. So old school used to be the receptionist felt that they were triaging, right? The call comes in, I'll put you through, so-and-so, I'll call you back. No, not anymore.
Yeah.
Not anymore. That person that comes in, they're the director of first impressions. They have to make sure that person that comes in really knows they've landed with the expert company. So they have the ability to do a fantastic inquiry, to understand and to build rapport, and to say, fantastic, John Smith or Sarah Smith is going to call you back. They've got 20 years in the they'll help you with this. And they do such a great job that person, Juliet, that's calling up, doesn't bother to call any other company up. And in fact, other companies that are on the forms that have gone back to her, she doesn't even bother answering, because now it's with the trusted advisor. So this didn't used to happen 15 years ago.
Yeah, it's so true.
Like, oh, you passed the lead over. And now it's like, no, they have to often go almost the whole way through the sale. In fact, I would say they are the sale, because if the person doesn't like them, or they're not looked after properly, or they say, oh, I'm back in 10 and it's an hour, then they've already let them down, then actually your perception of your company, they are the perception. Everyone, the truck driver, everyone is a perception of the business. So everyone needs to have good customer service skills, because they're all representing the brand.
Yeah, so true. Gosh.
It's become my two-woman mission to get this over the line, our two-woman mission.
Yes, I know. And getting everybody at all levels to be motivated and committed to that. But I think, that also, it comes from the top of how you lead it. And then it obviously comes from also the recruitment of who you bring in, like being so careful.
Yeah.
We always talk about the person is almost more important than the skills, because often we can fill the skills gaps, but we can't fill the values and the, how somebody works, what makes them tick. You come back to that integrity piece, the heart of somebody, that's pretty much a done deal. But the skills, we can fill in those gaps.
You're spot on. And I have had people before in my history, they've come in as a solid 8 out of 10, and others that have come in as a 4 out of 10, but the 4 out of 10 is open to learning.
Yeah.
Over time, they soon become a 9.5 out of 10. But if that 8 out of 10 thinks they already know everything, they just don't evolve.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I feel like you've given me so many top tips already, but I wanted my final question for you to be about your top tips. So top tips for business owners to drive a high-performing team.
Oh, okay, top tips. One, have a stand-up every day with your team to keep them motivated. 2, talk about success stories. And talk nicely about customers. Don't bag customers. I'm not into that difficult customer business, because your reps will think they're difficult customers, and they're not. They just mean they communicate differently to you. So grow up. It just means you've got to adapt how you communicate. If you don't want their business, you can also say to them, I don't think we're the right fit for you, and be polite about it and walk away. I'd also say be polite about the competitor set. I call it the alternatives. Don't be in the ditch like this against the competitors. You should have a decent conversation with your potential client.
Yeah.
And understand and be open to that, because if they feel the energy from you that you're so stuck in your company, they won't even tell you that they've seen John Smith Wass's shops up the street, because they'll realise that you feel uncomfortable. So they'll just say nothing, and then the sale doesn't come in, and then you wonder why. So instead, you need to be you need to know all your competitive set and what they offer, the unique selling points of difference. We teach all this, by the way, in our Sales Accelerator. Quick plug. And then you need to be able to have an intelligent conversation, a collaboration, where you're going, you know what, she's mentioned that twice. John Smith Wass's shops must have been in, because he would have said that. Be able to have a mature conversation. Say, who have you seen? If this is to me, I'm looking at another sales training company, I think, well, of course they are. I go, who have you seen? What have you liked?
Yeah.
What have you not like? What do if they tell me what they're looking for, I go, oh, with that in mind, you might want to try that person to look at as well. Us three here are probably more aligned to what you're looking for than possibly those two. People aren't buying this stuff every day, and you're supposed to be helping them. If you're the authority, trusted advisor. So as a leader, my tip would be all those things, and to make sure your team, and know all the competitors, know how to answer a phone, know how to ask questions, know how to not ask questions of a script, but know how to understand. Even the receptionist needs to know what you're selling and enough about it. That I'm not saying they're going to suddenly go into answers, but they need to know enough that they are sold. So they can actually sort of pull the person through. Really get them learning every day. Like we have this academy, which is like $29 a month, and it has podcasts and interviews, templates, like phone call templates, email templates, meeting templates. It has about 15 ebooks on there, all been written in the last year. It has the full course, 144 videos. It has like 8 different courses that are all like 148, 160, 200 videos, like a full course. It has live masterclasses that are 30 minutes each, podcasts, webinars, blogs. Oh my goodness! It has Q&A, community hub, you name it. It's the academy, that you've put together, and you number one techie person put together. and what's great about that is companies are using it as a 15-minute anchor to evolve each week. So it's not just part of their what's in the pipeline conversation. Yeah. Like how are we growing this week? And then each person takes it internally. And there's just 2 people or 3. and they go, hey, let's just jump on and look at this podcast together, or let's read these 2 blogs on how to handle objections, and then we'll talk about it. And then for 15 minutes, the facilitator goes around and says, comments, insights and questions, Miriam, insights and questions, Tracy, and they go around, and then each person has their insights. And that's it. That's that 15 minutes that week. And that encourages emotional intelligence, it encourages growth, it encourages sharing of ideas. It gets them out of their rut, particularly if they're working remotely, and that's been its head now. People are coming back to work. It's not working for a lot of organisations. They're coming back, which is a problem because some organisations have downsized their...
I know.
They've got no seats left, right? So I was actually with somebody on Monday who said, we've got a bit of a problem. We've got 8 that want to come back and we only seat 3. So I think as a leader, you could be doing those things and just keep your team developing and being open. As you as a leader need to show that. You need to say, I listened to this and I learned that, and always show that you're open. I hear leaders usually do that because I'm in the market for people that are open, but occasionally I come across leaders, it's occasionally that say, well, I know already how to sell, it's my team. And that's your first disaster.
Yeah.
It actually means that person, whatever they sold up to 10 years ago, has not grown in how to sell since then. They've been successful. But, I know people that are very successful that come every 6 months and every year to our programs. Yeah. And they will say, I'm 140% over target. But then they come back and go, well, now we're 320% over target. Because we can all evolve, right? If you're open to evolving. So, and it could be anybody in your team that's got a great input about learning. So I think that's a good thing to do. Teach them all, get them to immerse in outside, like that's an outside professional training company. Like we work on mindset. That's the sort of stuff that I read. It's all about mindset. I'm deep on mindset and how you learn, how you're open to learning, how you take on information, how you retain information, how you put it into practice. That's what our workshops are so much about, getting up and doing and rewiring your brain. You break synaptic gaps, you make new neural nets so that you think about going forward. These are the 5 ways to grow this business. Going forward, this is the 5 ways to protect my key accounts. Going forward, this is the 5 ways to have an acquisition plan. Going forward, I'll carve off these 2 hours a day to do these certain areas. I'll prioritize and focus my attention. Going forward, I'll be more proactive because I think constantly having that language, no longer can a manager be in a room with the door closed and just all the team are out there and they know what they're doing. And then it's a bit sink or swim. We've had people before, occasionally, that send someone on a program and they'll say, we're managing them out, but we've realised it's hit HR. The last time actually was quite a while ago, to be fair. It was like 2 years ago, but it has happened a few times. And they've said, HR, I've said, well, you actually haven't trained them. And so they're on there about to go. Also limited awareness. If you think you're going to go, just leave, right? But they've sent them and they've actually said, I don't know, they'll be here. We just want to tick this box. And the person's gone back and smashed it. And then
they don't know what to do with them.
And then the wife of the person called up the boss because they were related and said, what the hell, what's the course you've sent him on? Because they're learning communication skills. So he was doing better with his wife and his family. He's not been so reactive. He was pausing. He was thinking, we're all different. That's why we see the same thing from different lenses. Because we're teaching people that everyone's different and you can't just do it your way and think everyone's on board. So I think as a leader, be open to the fact your team needs support and read that, and even the people that are really doing well need that. And actually I said this to somebody yesterday. They said so-and-so is doing really well, and I had to say, because I'm quite straight and blunt, well, compared to who? Because if you've got 8 reps and they're doing well, but what's their standard? If they're the model of excellence, that means anyone starting is shadowing them. But they're going to go get good behaviours, which are one type only, probably, but they're going to pick up bad behaviours. But what about that person? Send that person to me first. If you're going to break them up, which in such a way they can, usually they come as a team together, right? But I said, send the overachiever first. Let's tweak that person. But they're smashing it and they do become your model of excellence in the office. Then everyone else sees trainings for development and then everyone will up their game. But when you come to a public workshop, you see, I set the standard, and so everyone. It's not Frank in Perth that does that, or so and so and so and so. Okay. I should be doing 4 times as many calls because that's the standard. I should be organised and be on the phone by, if I start at 9:02, I should be on the phone. This is my boss having a whinge at me. So you're the managers love it because it takes away it's just us telling you to do this and it's unfair, and it helps them go, the person that next to me does 4 times as many calls as me, and maybe this is normal. So I would say just keep them learning and be learning yourself, get excited about development, and not see development pathways as no longer we call it gaps, strengths and gaps, or strengths and weaknesses. We call it development areas.
Yeah.
I'm developing in that area right now. Actually, I say you've got a weakness, isn't it, Marianne? What do you reckon? My weakness is cooking. My weakness is chocolate. My weakness is that's a good weakness to have, right?
That is a good weakness to have. Yeah.
But, that's what I think. There's a lot of tips there. I'm literally give some tips. My brain just went.
I know. And I was going to say, when you wrapped your tips, that you also give a wealth of free tips out via your website. You've got so many free resources on there that just, I guess, scratch the surface of all your expertise. And then you've got the Academy, which is an amazing program that allows people to start to deep dive into some of that and really flesh out that learning. I think you've got no shortage of information and no shortage of expertise that you can be passing on to people.
You know why? Because when they come to a program, so often people either have the Academy or usually they do a program face-to-face and then they have the Academy. So it's constantly extending and building on what they've learned. The laureate, Nobel Prize laureate Kendall in the year 2000 said that when you learn something new, you double the amount of neurons in your brain, but you've got to keep learning it and rewiring it and doing it. And so that's why on our workshops we have lots of, you meet different people and you practice maybe 13 times, 14 times, then you do the next lesson. And that's why the Academy's afterwards, to keep that learning going. Even if it's just 15 minutes a week, it is constantly rewiring your brain for future behaviors, because we're working on the thinking first, because it all starts with your thinking, because your actions and behaviors follow your thinking. So we work a lot on that, and a lot of, that's what I normally do. Why do I do that? Next time going forward, I will do this. And there's a lot of time spent on that bit. We have to reflect, learn, and then a lot of time spent on rewiring. Yeah, that's what we do.
Thank you so much for all your generous sharing today. I think you've just given so much value and such deep insights into, how people can become that trusted advisor and then really succeed, and not see selling as the sleazy old process that we all had to do, but really something that's aligned to helping, and aligned to being the partner the whole time.
That's how I see it. Yeah. Pleasure being here, Marianne. It's always a pleasure to chat to you. Thank you so much for, guiding my company and getting all the leads coming in, and working on the Academy with me, making that what it is. Your team are really special and they've got a high care factor, and you've always, you're always adaptable, come up with new ideas. We reach out and you come back with workarounds and different lenses. And so, that's what's making that is what makes a company grow, having a company like yours, because you're the trusted advisor when it comes to marketing. You're the one, when your emails come out, you're the email that I read, because you're the edge. That's what you are. You're bringing value all the time. And we're always saying to clients, take value to your clients, be front of mind, make sure you're adding value and you're helping, have a reason, make sure they want to see you, and they always want to see you, the doors open. And that's what you always do. So thank you to you for all that. And thanks for this podcast, allow me to share a few tips today.
Oh, beautiful. Well, obviously everyone can find you as Charmaine Keegan on LinkedIn, and Smarter Selling on LinkedIn and Instagram, and smarterselling.com.au. But I'll pop all that in the show notes as well. Thanks so much.
I'm not hugely on Instagram, by the way, and the company LinkedIn needs to be a bit of an upgrade. But Charmaine Keegan and smarterselling.com.au is probably the place to go.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Marianne.
Hey, thanks for listening to another episode. If you don't want to miss one, make sure you subscribe to the show in your podcast app. And if you love it, be sure to share it with friends and colleagues who you think could benefit from increasing their digital marketing confidence. Want more? Head to marianneamies.com to find out how you can work with me directly, to reach out to have me speak at your event, or to grab yourself some free resources.